Tonight on Primetime Live, she was a stunning, statuesque actress, a true Hollywood beauty.
Look at those eyes. Look at that smile.
Lana Clarkson, shot dead inside the Gothic mansion of the eccentric music genius Phil Spector.
Actress Lana Clarkson dead inside the Phil Spector home.
But was it murder as he's charged with, or something else as he angrily claims?
I was held in jail for 6 hours.
Who was Lana Clarkson, and how did she end up dead in that mansion? Ahead, testimony from grand jury witnesses and exclusive interviews with her family that may turn the case upside down. Primetime Live, anchored by Diane Sawyer, Chris Cuomo, Cynthia McFadden, and John Quinones.
Good evening. Our lead story tonight is about an actress you may have seen on TV, but you might not have known her name. Then came the night she was shot dead in the mansion of Phil Spector, the legendary music producer behind decades of hits, including the Beatles' album Let It Be. We now know the name Lana Clarkson, not from her screen credits, but from a murder investigation. And her family speaking out exclusively for the first time tonight to say there's so much more about her to know.
Look at those eyes. Look at that smile. She's so beautiful.
They've been coming to this Hollywood cemetery for nearly 2 years now. The mother and sister of a beautiful blonde actress.
She made everybody laugh. I mean, even if you weren't feeling good, she'd make you laugh.
She was such a huge part of our lives.
It was the fatal intersection of two lives. Phil Spector, the legendary record producer of more than 20 gold records, and Lana Clarkson, the statuesque 6-foot-tall actress with a 20-year resume of roles in some of the biggest sitcoms.
Well, I used to be an actress.
Uh-huh.
But now I'm like really into justice.
And movies.
I always enjoy discussing a business proposition, so why don't you come sit by the pool and see if you can try and sell me?
But at 40, those opportunities were disappearing. It is February 3rd, 2003, and Lana Clarkson and Phil Spector find themselves in the same place at the same time.
Phil Spector had been out bar hopping that night along LA's famous Sunset Strip. He's been tipping heavily, spending hundreds of dollars at classic night spots like Dan Tana's, Trader Vic's, and finally, the House of Blues. It is here in the early morning hours that he meets Lana Clarkson.
3 hours later, Lana Clarkson is dead, a bullet shot through her mouth.
Police found 40-year-old actress Lana Clarkson dead inside the Phil Spector home.
Phil Spector is arrested at the scene and charged with murder. But in jail, he launches into a tirade and insists that police have it all wrong, that Lana Clarkson committed suicide. The multi-millionaire producer quickly assembles a PR machine, hiring a series of high-powered lawyers, even accusing the police of brutality. And despite his lawyers' best efforts, he can't keep quiet.
Sadly. Philip, darling.
Excuse me.
Thank you, dear. So you can't stop a star and a talent from always being a star and a talent. You just can't. But it's okay. I don't mind. Philip knows.
Have I stopped her?
You haven't stopped me, darling, and I haven't stopped you.
Immediately, the whispers begin and the unkind labels.
To pay the bills, Clarkson took a night job.
The death of a struggling actress.
Lana Clarkson's battles in B movies.
The very first newspaper stories and television reportage referred to her as, quote, a B-movie actress. There are a lot of people, I think, in this town who like to look for the worst in people.
It's been very difficult for me not to speak out. It's been very painful.
Now, after 2 years of listening to the character assassination of Lana Clarkson, her mother and sister have had enough. Here is their story.
In my heart, I know the truth. I know my daughter. And I want to have a fair trial.
Did she always want to be an actress as a little girl?
Oh yes, I have a picture of her with her hair all groomed and her little white go-go boots on, and you know, she's just adorable, and reciting nursery rhymes and doing little theatrics for anyone who would watch.
My name's Marilyn, like in Monroe.
And as an actress, she would earn a steady living for more than 2 decades. Her sister's favorite memory?
I like when she did Three's Company, because she played John Ritter, Jack Tripper's love interest.
Jack Tripper! Sharon,
And she was threatening him. She's like, Jack Tripper, if you don't tell me what's going on, and then she like puts her hand up.
Tell me what's going on around here. I think I'm going to give you the... No.
Easy. And he like
down girl
pulls her hand down.
Down girl.
It's funny.
Well.
As for that label of B movie star, like most Hollywood actors, Lana did her share of low-budget films, but with legendary director Roger Corman, who launched the careers of Jack Nicholson, Robert De Niro, and Sandra Bullock.
Lana was a good actor who took her work seriously.
He cast his promising new discovery in Deathstalker, then Barbarian Queen, with 2 sequels.
I've always felt that she should have had a stronger career. She was very tall, and possibly taller than many of potential leading men, and I think that worked against her.
You officers can be so resourceful.
In her mother's heart, she was always a fighter and a survivor, until that fatal night. As for Phil Spector, he hardly makes a good impression. Even as he sits in court, he shows his utter disdain for the criminal justice system. But do his eccentric ways mean he's capable of killing? Which brings us back to that dark castle, the scene of her death 2 years ago. What could possibly have gone so wrong that night?
Up next, the last hours of a beautiful actress's life, and the ominous stories from 3 other women that might have kept her away from a famous millionaire's mansion, when Primetime Live returns. Now, John Quinones in what really happened in the last hours of Lana Clarkson's life.
The successful acting career of Lana Clarkson flashes constantly before the eyes of her mother, Donna. And the sad irony is that Lana's last job was also her first job outside show business. She was now a hostess at the House of Blues.
She'd never really had a job before.
Recovering from a bad fall and 2 broken wrists, Lana faced the added pressure of reinventing herself as an over 40 actor. The job as a hostess was a little hard to take.
She already knew
she didn't
everyone.
want people to know that she was working there.
She was actually a little embarrassed that
She had to have a regular job.
Because she'd always worked as an actor.
Fawn had just visited her sister at her new job the night before Lana's last shift.
And her spirits?
She was fine.
Did she leave anything, try to get her affairs in order, leave a suicide note?
We had plans to go, she was going to take me to go see the movie Chicago. She, you know, that's ridiculous. No.
Newly released transcripts of a grand jury investigation trace Lana Clarkson's steps on February 3rd, the last night of her life. 2:30 a.m. She leaves the House of Blues, helping a visibly drunk Phil Spector, whose driver testifies that he can't walk alone. Spector invites Lana to his mansion. She declines. He persists 2 or 3 times. She finally accepts. 3 a.m. The couple is dropped off at Spector's castle home. The driver waits outside.
Why would she get into Phil Spector's car that night and go to his house?
I don't think it was unusual. Most of the time when you're a musician, you're up all night and, you know, you socialize at night.
Would she have gone there thinking that maybe this could lead to new work and entertainment for her?
Possibly. I mean, music was a fascination she hadn't conquered yet.
She had recently put together this comedy showcase.
No, sir, I did not do pornos.
All part of an audition video package sent to producers just before her death.
I'm Barbie, an anatomically incorrect icon.
In it, she performs several elaborate skits.
I didn't realize at the time when we sent the showcase out that it would be the last thing she would ever do.
What's most painful to her family is that no one warned Lana about a darker, angrier side of Phil Spector. In grand jury testimony, 3 other women, one a publicist for the comedian Joan Rivers, describe incidents where they say a threatening Spector brandished and then pointed guns at them, twice in his home and once in a hotel room.
You have to wonder, when Lana Clarkson walked into the mansion behind these walls that night, could she have known any of that?
Here's the timetable we pieced together from sworn testimony. 5 a.m. The limo driver heard a noise. Pow. Moments later, Spector emerged from the mansion and, according to his driver, said, "I think I killed somebody." Spector was holding a gun and had blood on his hand. Inside the castle, a police photographer records an eerie scene. Lana Clarkson, unresponsive but seated in a chair, fully dressed, her purse slung over her shoulder, a gun lying on the floor beneath her.
Remember the last words she said to you?
I love you, Mom. Thank you, Mom. I love you. Sorry.
And that was the last time you saw her?
Yes.
An autopsy confirms Lana Clarkson suffered a single fatal gunshot wound to the mouth. There were also fresh bruises to both her hands, right forearm and left leg, and a broken thumbnail, signs of a struggle before the shooting.
I think the evidence will speak for itself.
Crime scene investigators say they find Lana Clarkson's blood in places she could not have left it. On a door, on the banister leading upstairs, on the white jacket Spector was wearing that night, on a cloth found in the bathroom, and on the gun. But the gun had been partially wiped.
The coroner's report goes on to say that Phil Spector is standing nearby with his hands in his pockets. When he refuses to pull them out, police hit him with a taser, and he's arrested.
This man was tasered in his own home,
Broken nose and 2 black eyes and 50,000 volts of electricity shot through me, unarmed, invited the police into my house.
Spector's murder trial is expected to begin later this year, but his attorneys have been unable to keep him quiet about the coroner's findings.
But excuse me, he said in the LA Times he did not rule it a homicide were it not for the sheriff.
Do you think Phil Spector killed her?
I'd like Mr. Spector to tell the truth. I'd like him to tell everyone what happened.
If you could talk to Phil Spector, what would you say to him?
I would say that his life is in the balance, and I would pray for him.
You would pray for him?
Yes. It's hard to say that to you, but yes, I do. I pray for him that he can tell the truth and save his own soul. It's not easy to say that. It's not easy to feel that.
She draws strength from her daughter's legacy. For her, Lana Clarkson still lives in family photos and scratchy old home movies. She's still alive on old TV talk shows and sitcoms, in commercials, and in the movies.
Are you still somewhat in denial?
I think so. I feel like she's going to come in the door any minute. She's just traveling because she traveled a lot, that she'll be here any moment. And I haven't been able to turn her cell phone off. All of her friends still call and listen to her message. That's probably denial right there.
Hello, you've reached Donna Clarkson and Living Doll Productions. Please leave a message after the tone and I'll return your call as soon as possible. Thanks a lot and have a beautiful day.